mind. And if you ask any leader, what do you want from your people? I ask this question all over the world, and what leaders in every company say, what they want from their people is, well, today to compete, we need people's creativity. We need them to be intelligent. We need them to be courageous. These are the things that we want. But these are not things that you can say, I'm going to give you rewards or punishments so you become like this. Imagine a thief coming and saying, well, give me your money. Well, if they have a gun, you give them their money. But imagine the same thief standing in front of you saying, give me your loyalty, or I'll shoot you. Of course, you'll say, yes, I'm loyal to you, I'll do whatever you want, but that's not loyalty. Or give me your creativity, I want your enthusiasm. You cannot get that through coercion. You cannot get that through rewards and punishment. Those are gifts that a person only gives out of their own will. So the question becomes, how do you get to this commitment, this willingness to give what cannot be extracted? And this is where most flounder. I use the metaphor of the Titanic. If you know the story of the Titanic did not sink because it hit the iceberg. The truth is, it did not hit the iceberg, especially the visible part of the iceberg. It avoided it. But what the Titanic did is it hit the bottom part of the iceberg that was underwater, and that scratched its side, and it opened it like a can of sardines, and the water came in, and then it sunk. Most people never woke up. They were sleeping. There was no big crash. Only when the boat started tipping, people started screaming, and they woke up. But the Titanic did not sink because it hit the iceberg. It was the part under the water that killed it. And that's what I see in many companies. What kills them is not that they get their technology wrong. Sometimes it happens, but it's not the visible part. It's not that they made a mistake in their strategy. What kills them is usually this part underwater, which is that people stop thinking. People stop being committed to a vision. People stop putting their energy. And there's nothing in the world that will make people do it. You can only create conditions where people want to do it. And this is exactly what happens when companies don't create the conditions. They hit the bottom part of the iceberg and they sink. So, as I was saying before, you cannot extract it. This has to be a deal. And I believe that leadership is a deal, or business done consciously is always a mutually beneficial contract, not just for the sale of products and services, but also for the agreement on how we're going to work together. And I found this picture of a tablet that illustrates this contract. It has thousands of years. And I can't read Greek, but I can read enough. What it says there is, I will give you agape if you give me enthusiasm. It doesn't say that, but it says agape enthusiasm. Now, what does it mean? Agape is a Greek word that means love. It's not romantic love. It's a special kind of love that is translated as charitable or kind love. This is the love that appears in the Bible when they describe the attitude of Jesus, for example. So agape is not a feeling. Agape is a commitment to support your growth and your well-being. That's the sense of agape. And this is what I believe a leader contributes in this deal. So if you work for me, I make a promise to you that I will work with you in the spirit of enhancing your growth and well-being, both materially, but way beyond materially, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. That's my offer. What do I want from you? I want your enthusiasm. The word enthusiasm also comes from the Greek, and it means to have the inspiration of spirit. So to have a divine inspiration. The word spirit is also a very interesting word. It doesn't mean anything religious. Spirit literally means animating force, that which gives you the energy to do something. So saying to someone, I want your enthusiasm, is I want the energy that comes from you committing to do this as a life-affirming task. Now, that's my understanding of what a conscious business is. It's a deal where the leader says, you work here, I will create the conditions for you to grow, for you to be well, and we're going to do something extraordinary together. But what I want in return is you have to put your heart here. I don't just want your labor. I want everything. I want what I cannot get from you without you giving it to me as a gift, because you want to contribute. And that's the essence of what makes a difference in terms of that 90% of commitment, that mutuality of a commitment to do something together. Now, how do you create these conditions? Well, the book I wrote, Meta Management, the trilogy, is about that. I wrote a book last year called Conscious Business. It's in Spanish too, La Empresa Consciente. And in that book, I try to summarize the essence. And there are 6 things. I'm going to talk about 2 today. Otherwise, it would be too much. And normally, this would take a long seminar. But I'll present the 2 that I consider the most fundamental, the most basic. And the one that I think is really the essence is the empowerment of responsibility. So I'm going to talk about responsibility, but I'm going to present responsibility and integrity in a slightly different light, or with a different understanding that most people interpret those words. So let me start with this phenomenon of bounded rationality. Human beings have a limited capacity to process information. That's just a fact. There's just too much going on, and it's like trying to download the internet, okay, with a 50K modem, okay? Imagine you're trying to download the internet to your computer. You can't do that. You don't have enough bandwidth. You don't have enough capacity in memory. It's impossible. So we live like that. There's a whole internet. There's infinite amount of data floating around this. All these things are happening, and we can't pay attention. So the metaphor I use is like entering into a dark room with a flashlight. And this flashlight is relatively small, so you have to choose where to point it. And depending on where you point it, you're going to see some things, and you're not going to see some other things. So I'll ask you to think like a computer for a moment. Just to do an experiment, I'll ask you to think like a computer. And this computer is going to be so limited that you only have one variable thought. So your causality is y equals f of x. There's only one variable. And now I'm going to do an experiment. So here's the experiment. It's an apple. So look at what happens. This is an old tradition in physics. The question is, why does the apple fall? I know it's obvious, but just play with me. Why does the apple fall? La gravedad. Of course, gravity. Who would disagree that the apple falls for gravity? Anybody disagree? No. It's obvious the apple falls from gravity. So this is true. Is it the whole truth? What else? What else is making the apple fall? Look, I'll show you again. Now, there's definitely, we have gravity, okay? Gravity is operating. Anything else? I let it go, exactly.